lights, camera, action. Ready to roll. Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today. So we're now at 5 o'clock and ready to begin our meeting here. So we will now call to order the special board meeting for Joliet Township on today, Tuesday, June 24th, 5 p.m. here in our chambers. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Begin with roll call. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Trustee Adamowski.
Here.
Trustee Vivian.
Here.
Trustee Gavin.
Here.
Trustee Washington.
Here.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Here.
We have a quorum.
If we have quorum, we will continue with the rest of our agenda. For moving into any agenda items, we will open up the floor for public comment. If there's anybody that would like to speak on new business agenda items, now would be the time to do so. If I'll make a quick note, if you are here to speak on the budget and appropriation for the township or for the road district, those would be public hearings, and so we'll wait until we enter the public hearings if anybody would like to speak on those. But if you're here to speak on any of the other new business agenda items, then public comment now would be the time to do so. So, public comment. Yeah, but come on. And then if you could, just for our clerk to take minutes for the record, if you could just state your name, please.
Roy Smith, ROYSMITH. Can you go ahead now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, everyone bear with me because I'm not a big public speaker, but I would like to thank Caesar and Amy for letting me know what was going on and that we were going to be having a meeting on it. And if the board members don't mind coming up with me, because if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be up here. And my brother disappeared real quick. Yeah, my mom, I think she started the center in the 80s, right?
In the 80s.
Yeah, in the 80s, and it was a lot of work, you know, she helped a lot of people, and now we're having a transition where we're making some other moves, but with Caesar and Amy, they came to tell me that we're going to be changing it to Louis Ray's Center. And I just want to thank everyone for doing so. Right now, that's all I'm going to say. My brother wanted to say something, and I was going to let him go.
Excuse me.
You know.
I just want to say thank you for acknowledging my mom. Really appreciate you guys doing by keeping her name going and with our hard work. You know, you guys are still standing up for it. I appreciate that. Me and my family. And I'm quite sure the city of Joliet appreciate it too. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you all for considering to rename the center, Forest Park Community Center, to Louise Ray Community Center. Just appreciate everything that you're doing locally. My uncle and aunt is also Ozzie and Peggy Mitchell, so I saw the transition that happened there when you all acquired that center and all the great things you're doing for the local community. And I'm sure that the same things are occurring with the Forest Park Community Center. So thank you very much on behalf of our board.
Honorable Supervisor, thank you so much for this opportunity to speak. Give me about 2 hours and then I'll be finished. But for those of you, the board members, past and present, they are the shoulders that I stood upon. I served as director of the center for the last 13 and a half years before my retirement. Miss Ray was not only a woman after my own heart, but she was a mentor of mine as well. The Forest Park Community Center, now Louise Ray Community Center, has a rich history and a rich legacy in our community. And it was because of her vision and because of her advocacy. Okay, it'll come out in a minute when you get your teeth in your tongue and start working in the same order. Her vision and being that voice for the voiceless, she took an area that was practically forgotten, and she brought programs, services into that area and changed it. When I took that office, there were some pretty big shoes to fill coming behind her. But we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your vision to see and recognize such a great woman. So thank you so much, Honorable Supervisor and Board. We thank you for that opportunity, and we pledge to stand in partnership with you. The board is still going on, so we stand ready to partner with you to continue that legacy. Thank you so much.
Well, I just want to thank everybody that's on the board, supervisors, and everybody that showed up to support us. And Louise Ray was an incredible lady, and she truly changed my life as well. And to be a part of that, it was a blessing to me. And so I am a business owner in this community as well. I've been 13 years on Essington Road, Moffett income tax preparation. And I just want to say the legacy is living on. You know, when you go ahead and adopt this new name. And moving forward, like Betty said, we want to partner with you and continue to help our community in this city and to keep things moving forward, because it's about legacy. And that's all I can say right now, because man, this is a precious moment for all of us. And so we just want to say thank you again for all that you've done.
Of course, congrats.
Hello, everybody. My name is Davis Irvins. Miss Ray was my godmom, and bear with me. Not only the Forest Park Center was a place where connections were forged, and you know, where some of the dreams Miss Ray made come true for me and my family. But I just wanted to say her very presence was a source of warmness, and she was always encouraging, always having unwavering support within our community. You know, even her son Roy, I remember him trying to teach us how to box and messing around with us. You know, but that was, you know, that's just one of the few things I want to touch on. I think her legacy is just like an intangible thing that she accomplished, but in the countless lives that she touched and the ripple effect of her kindness, she inspired us, uplifted us, and shown us what it truly means to be a contributing member of a thriving community. I want to thank you guys for reconsidering the community center, and good to see you, Roy, good to see you, Johnny. Good to see everybody, to be honest with you. Especially you, Mr. Daddy, I love you. So, I just want to thank everybody, I just want to speak on Miss Ray, what she meant to me, so. I was in trouble team, got kicked out of school 3 times. She went
How
right
many
up to-
times?
3. Got kicked out of West twice, got kicked out of Central once. And all 3 times, she took me back and got me back to school. Yeah. So, but, yeah, I just wanted to say that while Miss Ray, I wanted to say, thank you guys.
Thank you. Then, just in case we missed it, before you all leave, everybody that spoke, I don't know if you got everyone's names, Kendra.
Some of them.
Yeah, so everybody that spoke, if you could just before heading out, check in with our clerk, just to make sure we got your names for the record for our minutes.
Good evening, Madam Clerk and Supervisor and respected trustees. I would like to read briefly an article published September 23rd, 1997 from the Chicago Tribune, and it was updated again August 11th, 2021. Warfare is common in the poor, mostly African-American Joliet neighborhood known as the Hill. For years, it has been plagued with gunshots, gang members, dope dealers,
Malcontents.
Thank you. In the past, police said they would record an average of 2 shootings each night in the heart of the east side of town. So many people are surprised when they hear community activists and police fighting a new kind of battle on an economic front in the neighborhood renamed the Forest Park area. And the good guys are starting to win. In November, the Forest Park Community Center officially opened its doors under the watchful eye of Executive Director Louise Ray. It provides preschool education, adult and youth recreation, job training, high school equivalency classes, counseling and healthcare referrals, and full-time Joliet police officers stationed inside. Across the street, where a tavern had stood, a car wash operates. Drug dealers no longer practice their trade in vacant lots a few yards away. Teens who would have been fodder to gangs push brooms and mowers outside the community center doors. This was the center, these 2 blocks of illegal activities. The gangs, drugs, loitering, violence, said Police Sergeant Bob Pedersen, who helped start some of the community programs. Some of the kids we were arresting would say they wouldn't do it if they had something to do, and that led to all the brainstorming. Scores of volunteers, activists, and startup funds from the city of Joliet led measures of success. But for Ray, this is not nearly enough. At her urging and with the help of the head of the most successful, from the head of the most successful community center in York, Pennsylvania, the City and Community Center Board are at it again. On September 16th, the City of Joliet Council voted to spend $43,500 to purchase a defunct grocery store residence parking area and 2 grassy lots and a donation to the Forest Park Community Center. They are the center. They are next to the center, sorry. Teenage and adult volunteers will renovate the homes so that it can be rented out to a family, Ray said. The store is to be restocked and reopened, providing job skills and trainees and a commercial outlet for the neighborhood. There is no store for the people in the community here, the Joliet Police Chief Beasley said. How far should some of them have to travel for a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk? We're involved because the difficult quality of life in the neighborhood really contributes to the erosion of morals that have spread criminal activity. Ray, 53, and her husband, Junior Ray, moved to the area 19 years ago. They raised 4 sons there and saw raised 5 sons there and saw a fifth violently killed. That's where it goes. Let me the sentence, and saw a 5th violently killed. Ray used to be a teacher, and the family has attained an educational and economic status. She remains committed to the community and her neighbors. God gave me a spirit of concern, and I am my brother's keeper. When my brothers and sisters hurt, I hurt, she said. This center is not about Louise Ray. It is about everything we have done. This was my dream, and this is what I'll leave behind. Bobby Simpson, head of the 65-year-old Crispus Attucks Community Center in York, Pennsylvania, met Ray 2 years ago. The connection was made by then Joliet City Councilman Warren Doris and other employees of Caterpillar Inc., who has facilities in York as well as Joliet. Ray has a real good handle on what she needs to do here. She understands that the daycare is important and that senior citizens are important. And so is job training and job placement, said Simpson, who is visiting Joliet again this week. I am here to help her avoid the unnecessary learning curves and expenses of time wasters. In 18 years, Simpson has built the Attucks Center into a 100,000 square foot haven with a plethora of social service and training programs. The center owns and manages and rents 150 houses in a 6-block radius and earns nearly $4.5 million a year and is about to build a $20 million mall. He said that the Forest Park Center if the Forest Park Center adopts these same principles, will succeed. Centers are realizing that they have to be more than one-dimensional, and the government used to take care of folks, but the burden now falls on organizations like Ms. Ray's and mine, Simpson said. When Ray heard of Simpson's idea, she thought that it was a bit far-fetched. He said, take your community back. And I said, what are you talking about? I thought I had a grip on this already, she said, laughing. And you could hear it in Ms. Ray's voice as I'm saying it out loud, right? But it has become inspiration. But it has become an inspiration. And I just want to share that, and I would like to hand your Senate resolution that the Illinois State Senate had given to the Ray family at the time of her passing. And I just wonder, I read that article again recently, and I shared it with Natavius, Tay, and Tug, and others, and I said, I wonder what if all of the community partners had come together in '97, had the economy not tanked, had different things not happened back then, what would Forest Park look like today if in 1997 we were able to keep our hands at the plow and work together collaboratively? I urge the passing of this resolution. I urge us to keep the legacy not just alive, but to allow, whether it's the resolution, the photos or images, but the history and the plans of the mission for that center and the other centers that you all have taken on, to remember its original purpose and existence, so the community understands the history and it's not erased. I urge you all to vote yes and accept the adaptation of this resolution. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on public comment? This would be for new business agenda items. Anything else, not including the public hearings. We'll open those up in just a moment. So anybody else that would like to speak for public comment? Once, twice.
We did receive a public comment via email, so I'll read it now. On behalf of Garland Mays, past president of the Forest Park community for over a decade, I proudly support renaming the Forest Park Center to the Louise Ray Center. Mama Ray was a tireless advocate, a mentor, and a guiding light to so many in our neighborhood. Her presence was felt in every block, every household, and every community gathering. She dedicated her life to creating opportunities, providing support, and building unity among residents, never asking for recognition, only results. Her love for this community was unmatched, and her impact is woven into the very fabric of Forest Park. Renaming the center in her honor would be more than a tribute. It would be a permanent reminder of what one person's love and commitment can do for an entire community. The Louise Ray Center would stand not only as a building, but as a symbol of hope, resilience, and the power of community care. For current and future generations, her name on that building would inspire continued service and remind us all of the responsibility we have to one another. It is only right that this space, which has long served the people of Forest Park, now carry the name of the woman who served the most until the end of time. Sincerely, Garland L. Mays.
Trustees, we also did receive a few letters of support, so trustees have copies of all of those. Speak now, or when we get to the voting section? We'll open it up for us, for the trustees, once we get to that part of the agenda. So then, last call for public comments, and then we will be continuing with our agenda. Seeing none, then we'll continue on with our next agenda item. And so we'll be entering now our public hearing section. We have 2 public hearings to attend to on today's agenda. We'll be entering into separate hearings for each. First is a public hearing on budget and appropriation township ordinance. This is in regards to the budget for general town fiscal year 2025 to 26. Is there a motion to enter the public hearing?
Second.
It's been motioned by trustee Gavin, seconded by trustee Adamowski. We will now open a public hearing for budget and appropriation for general town fiscal year 2025-2026. This moment, if there is anybody from the public who would like to speak on the budget for fiscal year 25-26, now would be the time to come forward. Once, twice. Seeing none, then is there a motion to close the public hearing for the budget and appropriation of the township fiscal year 25-26?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Washington, seconded by trustee Adamowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Carrying on, now we have, just for clarity for the audience, the Joliet Township Road District does have its own separate budget. And so they have, required to have their own public hearing for their budget and for their ordinance. And so at this time, I will ask if there is a motion and a second to open the public hearing for the budget and appropriations for the Joliet Township Road District fiscal year 25-26.
So moved.
It's been motioned by trustee Gavin, seconded by trustee Vivian. Now we will open the public hearing for budget and appropriations for Joliet Township Road District fiscal year 25-26. If there's anybody from the audience who would like to speak, now would be the time to do so.
Won't be long.
Just wanted to say that, just a few things. There was, when I first came in as the highway commissioner, 4 years ago, I did my first budget, actually like a few months after we were sworn in, not unlike today. And there was some discussion, some people think that you should carry about 3 or 4 months of expenses in the budget. The last 4 years, we haven't done that. We put everything into the budget. And last year was the first year that we ended up spending nearly all of that money. However, usually we were rolling over a significant amount of money. So the way I've gone about creating the budget is that we end up putting all the money into the budget so that it's available for use, so that we can get it out to the residents if need be. However, this year's budget, I do want to have the caveat of saying, I do expect that we will roll over a significant portion of it. I don't have necessarily dedicated outlined plans for a big portion of it, but I do like having it in there, specifically in the roads. So if anything were to happen, that we can, emergency jobs. We've already had a few emergency jobs this year, whether it be sinkholes or different things. We've had, we're affected by the sewer replacement the city of Joliet's doing. Some of our neighborhoods, even though, a lot of our residents are kept on, they do affect our roads. So sometimes it's something we want to come through before the winter for our guys to plow, make those right. So, like I said, I don't have a lot of, this year we're not going to go out and have a huge road repaving project. It's not in our plans this year, but we will get to that. which is why I hope to roll some dollars. And then we're hoping to replace our loader. Our loader's a 1999. The parts are from the repair guy getting obsolete, which, you know, obsolete's a relative term, you know, just means the parts are harder to find. You can always find them, but, so that is in the budget. We made that change actually today, to hopefully have the dollars in the budget to get that taken care of. Other than that, the expenses are generally set upon what we spent last year and also anticipation of prices for this year. So there's not a huge amount of, you know, difference from last year's budget or any other budget. So with that, I hope that you guys choose to approve it, and I thank you guys for being cooperative and supportive of the road district.
Thank you. Great. And for trustees, we'll open up the floor for discussion once we get to the actual voting under new business. But for now, we'll just leave the floor open to anybody else who would like to speak under the public hearing section. So last call for public hearing for the budget for the road district. None. Then is there a motion and a second to close the public hearing for the budget and appropriations for Joliet Township Road District for fiscal year 25-26?
So moved. Second.
Been motioned by trustee Gavin and seconded by trustee Adamowski. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Continue on now with new business, and I think, so I'm getting the rules of order correct here. We'll have a motion and a second. Once the motion and second has been made, then the item is up for discussion. So if there's any questions, that would be the time to do so. I do have some remarks from our finance director that I'll share with the board. So is there a motion and a second to adopt the general town fiscal year 2025-2026 budget ordinance number 409-2025?
So moved. Second.
It's been motioned by trustee Washington and seconded by trustee Gavin. The item is on the floor now, and so before we call the roll, now would be the time to ask any questions or make any remarks regarding the budget for fiscal year 25-26.
I do have a question, but I think the items, comments made first.
Sure. So I'll
If we can read those.
yeah, if we begin here, I do have some, just a second to put this up. So, key points, this is from our finance director, Ivan Diaz, who unfortunately wasn't able to attend the meeting today. He was here in the office, and so he did leave me some notes. As an overview, this year's budget is largely in line with budgets of years past. It's based on the actualized expenses that we've seen year over year, and so it is consistent there, and there's not a lot of substantial changes, but some notes. Most employees will be receiving 3% pay raises, except for a few assessor employees receiving 5%. This is just slightly above, in line with cost of living adjustments, which are right now looking to be about 2.5%, and so we're just a little bit above what the industry average is. Interfund transfers of $700,000 to animal control and $150,000 to general assistance. You notice that this is higher than normal, but was necessary with our current kind of program expenses. A recent change that occurred was that we have added $149,618,000 to the grant budget. This is in reference to a grant that was unexpectedly renewed, and so it's a grant that we had in the previous fiscal year. We were not expecting for it to be renewed based on just feedback from statewide offices, and just recently we were given notice that we were being renewed for this grant for 1 year, and that is for behavioral health specialists. to the amount of $149,618. And so we will be responding back to IDHS with pending your approval to accept this grant. This will allow us to bring on staff as trauma licensed behavioral health specialists to allow us to continue with our efforts in behavioral health, mental health services. And then finally, item makes notes, all of capital funds are allocated as a flexibility to the supervisor. It does not guarantee that we will use this amount in its entirety. Then, with regards to the road district, Vince made some changes in between line items, but the total amount stays, total amount appropriated has stayed the same. And so, he's been in communication with you all if you have any questions, but if there's any other questions now, I'll do my best to answer them.
I did have one follow-up. Can you talk through the process to get to 3% for raise, and is that in line with previous practice? In other words, does the township always look at the COLA inflation and then choose to do that, or are raises generally around?
It's in line with cost of living adjustments, yes. Yeah, it was a pretty straightforward process for that. Any other questions regarding the budget? Then at this time, it has been motioned and seconded to adopt the ordinance for the general town fiscal year 2025-26 budget. And Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Trustee Vivian.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next up, we will have our ordinance for the road district. Again, we have to close out by taking the roll call, or by taking the roll. So, right there. Then next we have our ordinance regarding the road district budget. Similarly, I'll ask for a motion in a second. Once the item is on the floor, then we'll open it up for questions and discussion.
So moved.
Who wants to take this one? Okay, there's a motion made by Trustee Gavin and a second made by Trustee Washington. Item has been motioned and seconded, so it's now on the floor. Now would be the time for any questions from the Board of Trustees. Questions regarding the road district budget?
Vince, you happy with everything that's in there? You got everything you need?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Worked on it hard.
Thank you, Vince. I'll be putting you to work very soon, so if you can stick around, once we adjourn the meeting, I got a couple items for you. The ordinance, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Clerk, can you call the roll?
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Trustee Vivian.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
The next item is to adopt rules and regulations for FOIA requests and designating FOIA officers for the Joliet Township Assessor Office, ordinance number 411-2025. And so this simply, because the Assessor's Office and the Road District, you have the degree of autonomy and separation from the General Town Office, while we have designated FOIA officers for the General Town Office, we also do need designated FOIA officers for the Assessor's Office and the Road District, which will be coming up next on our next agenda. And so our Assessor, Jim Franceschi, will be the designated FOIA officer. Simply put, any FOIA requests that come through that are pertinent to the Assessor's Office, he would be the one that would be responding to them officially. I get a motion and a second to adopt rules and regulations for FOIA requests and designating FOIA officers for the Joliet Township Assessor Office, ordinance number 411-2025.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Trustee Washington, second by Trustee Gavin. Any questions or comments on this one? Madam Clerk, we call the roll.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Trustee Vivian.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And finally, our last item under new business, to adopt a resolution number 2025-03 to rename Forest Park Community Center into Louise Ray Community Center. I think we all know what this one is about. We heard from quite a few members of the public with regards to this item. So again, there's a motion and a second first, and then we'll open it up for any remarks from the other trustees.
Second.
There's been a motion made by trustee Vivian and a second by trustee Gavin. Now we'll open the floor to any questions or comments from the board.
I'd just like to say that in 2007, I was substitute teaching at Joliet West. And a parent came to me, there was no mentoring for young black boys in the school, or period, in the Joliet area. And I reached out to a friend of mine from Omega Psi Phi fraternity, and they agreed to mentor young men, black men, from ages 13 through 18, all the way from junior high through high school. We started out meeting in the library at Joliet West High School, but the young men didn't want to stay in the high school. And I went to Mrs. Ray. She allowed us to meet on Saturdays with Omega Psi Phi fraternity, who was already meeting in the building, and at no cost. And we were there from 2007 until we ended the program in 2012. So she is absolutely deserving of any recognition in her name.
Mrs. Ray was a godsend to this community. I go way back with her, had plenty of conversations with her. You had to walk to her correctly,
Amen.
because if you didn't, it wasn't a kind conversation. But she'd hug and kiss you and pray for you when you left.
Yes, yes, yes.
But she was a beacon to this time that was needed at a very crucial time, because it was a war zone. It was straight up war zone. And she swooped in like Superman. It made a difference. Thank you for sharing, sons, with Joliet people. With pride and joy, you will rename that building that we all want. I just wanted to say that I worked in my first career, I worked in alternative education, starting in about 2002 here in Joliet. And when I first started meeting students that were from Joliet West and Central, I kept hearing this name, Louise Ray. Who is this lady? And I'll tell you, when I first had the opportunity to meet her, the first thing that came to my mind was, she's a boss. And I got it. I mean, she, boss, right? You just knew, she just exuded confidence, and she made me feel so welcome when I had the opportunity to speak with her. And I think about her as just this amazing human being that took so much on her shoulders to do so much for the community. And she's a legend. Like, that's who she is. She's a legend, and she's absolutely deserving of this honor, and I fully support it.
Got a few remarks on up-to-date plans for the center, but I'll save those for afterwards, right before we adjourn, but after we conclude this one. So if there's no other comments, we're ready. This one then. There's been a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Vivian. Trustee Gavin.
Aye.
Trustee Adamowski.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Supervisor Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Madam Clerk, audience here, with our public, a bit of good news, some activity that will be happening at the center. Now, these flyers, share these with the audience, if anybody would like to get these. Now, these flyers, they do read Forest Park Community Center, since this was announced and printed before we were able to call our vote today. So for moving forward, any activity will be noted as the Louise Ray Community Center, but I did want to share with everybody that this coming Monday, June 30th, from 3 to 5 p.m., we will be conducting a fresh produce pop-up. This is in conjunction with the Will County Executive. They have reached out to us that they're doing this throughout the county, and one of the locations that they would like to conduct this is the Forest Park, now Louise Ray Community Center. And so again, that'll be coming up on Monday, June 30th. We certainly want to encourage people to make sure that they're in attendance. For any of our audience here that would like to, take a moment to kind of give back to the center, definitely would appreciate your participation as a volunteer. You definitely use all hands on deck. But again, we encourage you to share this news with your neighbors, friends, family, residents in the area. We want to make sure that as many people are served as possible. And while this will be a one-time instance, we are working tirelessly to make sure that the center is in full capacity to continue to operate a recurring food pantry. So we're been making strides in that field. Have some pending updates, some things that are in motion, but definitely want to have this at least as an interim. A lot of residents in the neighborhood have been asking what's happening to the center. Is it still active? Is it still open? And so we want to reassure folks that we are in the works to make sure that it is fully operational. But in the meantime, we will have at least this one-time fresh produce pop-up on Monday, June 30th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. or until we run out. So hopefully we do run out because we want to serve as many people as we can.
Mr. Supervisor, one question.
Sure.
Do we have that in translated form too in Spanish, or is it just?
Right now, just this one, but we can get that
Yes,
translation
can
as
we
soon as
please?
possible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The
Yes.
community is.
So I just wanted to make sure I got that news out. And now I'll open it up to the trustees if there's any other remarks you'd like to share, any news you'd like to regarding community events or anything else before we adjourn our meeting.
I just wanted to thank you and the staff for getting all of this together in such a short period of time. Great job.
Yeah, I guess on that note, I will say that earlier today, as I was walking out of the office, if you've seen the building, it's pretty much just one long hallway. Right? So as I made my way from one end to the hall to the other, I got to kind of peep into the offices, and we've been bringing on some new staff, bringing on some contractors to kind of fill in the gaps here. Thank you to David for being here today. We're hiring for a lot of different positions, and so the team is growing rather quickly. But as I was making my way through the halls today, just peeked into the offices, saw everybody, speaking to each other, working collaboratively, and it's inspiring to say the least. So it's been a bit of a learning curve. This is just over 30 days in office for me, so first month down, and was certainly a challenge those first 8 days. But I think we're coming along nicely, and again, thank you to all of our staff here for making all of this possible, right? So while us as electeds, we often get the credit as we're the public face, and we get to interact with the public more often. It's our staff really that makes everything possible. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who was able to put this together. Special shout out to Ivan Diaz, our finance director, who wasn't able to join us for the meeting. But once again, just want to be grateful for everybody who's been a part of this, and thank you to our audience, all of our members of the public, for being here today with us. So with that, there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
It's been motioned by trustee Washington and seconded by trustee Gavin. All in favor of adjourning? Aye. Meeting adjourned at 5:45.
Good job.